We have ourselves a cash storm.
A cash storm. You've heard it here first, folks. Millions of dollars are currently flying across.
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week I checked out Cash Storm, and this 2024 film was written and directed by Dan Lintz and stars Rachel Nielsen, Shelby Hightower, and Xavier Michael, among others of course. So what is the story of Cash Storm? Well, it follows these kind of three groups of people, one of them being this bank robbing group. And so they rob a bank, they have all of this cash, and then, in their getaway car, they kind of get a flat tire or something in this field, which is exactly where this tornado lands. And so all of their money is sucked up into their tornado. Luckily, though, they are rescued by these two lady scientists, and they're out there. They have this machine that can stop tornadoes, maybe. I don't know. They're really just kind of testing it out for the first time. So the bank robbers take them hostage and tries to force them to, use their machine against the tornado so they can get their money back. Along the way, they also take this influencer hostage as well. So they all are this, 5-person kind of group going around trying to stop this tornado because there's money in it. And so what will happen? Well, for that, you gotta watch the movie and find out. All right, so let's discuss this movie. So what works about Cash Storm? Well, I saw this one on Tubi, and I saw, the poster first there. And I thought, Cash Storm, that must be like, Money Plane. And I remember having a good time with Money Plane. Money Plane rolls off the tongue a little bit differently than Cash Storm. But I thought, why not give it a shot? Then on IMDb, it actually had like a fairly high score. So I was really kind of interested in it. So, of course, I got to press play on it. And I got to say, it was pretty good for what it was. It is just like a low budget, B movie. And because of that, they are limited in the story they can tell. But in this one, I thought they did a pretty good job with everything. Particularly, I thought the writing was pretty good. I thought the dialogue was very kind of natural. And then the characters were actually smart and actually made good decisions and, made a plan to get away and this type of stuff. So I thought that all the writing stuff was pretty good, which, goes into the story. And they're just, in a van or in a car or in a field, and it's very kind of limited that way, but at the same time, they make it work. The characters are fun enough that you want to go with them. They have this one influencer character who has an accent when she's on camera, but off the camera, it's lost. And so just kind of the interpersonal stuff with them as well. They all kind of want to, achieve their goal and stuff. So yeah, all of it just kind of comes together, I thought, to make for a decent B movie. Other than that, there is the CGI tornado, and they only ever show it from a distance, so you never get close up to it. But it looks, fine. There's actually quite a bit of kind of green screen stuff in this one, actually. When they're in their cars, it's always on green screen. You can kind of tell outside it's not, moving at the speed that they should be doing at, or if they're out the window, their hair's not blowing or anything. So yeah, it certainly, I thought, did work for kind of what it's going for. It does give it that B movie feel, but one that I wouldn't say is, overly hammy or anything like that. And so, yeah, the green screen, I thought, worked well into this one to give it that B movie feeling as well. Other than that, everything is well shot and well lit, and the sound is pretty good as well. So all of that kind of goes into it to make for a good movie. I would also like to tell you that it doesn't stay too long. I think it's 76 minutes or something. So it's actually kind of a shorter film. And I think that goes into kind of why I liked it. It has this kind of more punchy feel to it, where it is actually kind of going at a fast pace. I would say that this movie is reminiscent of Asylum movies, if you know that movie company. And so I would say it has that kind of feeling to it, where there are lots of people, talking in rooms, talking in cars, but at the same time, they're kind of outside half the time as well. So it works. I do think the writing is probably a little bit better than the average Asylum film as well. So even though it has kind of these Asylum film hallmarks, it's not made by them. I think it's distributed by Broken Glass or Breaking Glass or something like that. But if you're a fan of Asylum, this is a good fun movie to watch. It's not made by them, but certainly I think will do you well for a night. And that brings me to what doesn't work with this film. Well, I did say I like the dialogue and the script, but then the performances from the actors are just so hammy and cheesy that it kind of ruins the naturalism of the lines themselves. So even though the lines might be, fairly natural, the way they perform those lines are not. And so it does add to kind of that B-movie charm that it certainly has. It makes it feel for certainly a B-movie, and it's one where it's more for fun, I would say, than anything else. After all, it's Cash Storm, right? Like, how fun is that idea? And so they're having fun with it, though the takes that they do choose here just seems like an odd choice, especially since I think they have lots of takes. During the credits they have outtakes, and they're on like outtake 69 or 78 or 54 or something like that, like high numbers. So choosing these takes in particular for the movie was certainly an interesting choice, but I'm kind of glad they did that just to have like a cheesy fun B movie. And with that being said, you gotta remember it is just a B movie, so of course with all of the talking in cars and stuff that might turn people off. Of course, the production level, it's a B movie after all. It's not an A level movie. So if you're looking for a real movie rather than just something fun to watch, then this is probably not going to be it. But, if you are a B-movie lover like myself, you enjoy asylum films, this is one to put on and I think just have, a fun night with. As for rating, well, I gotta give it the 5.6 because it was better than average, but not above average, if that makes sense. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.